Of all the Trials weapons I have tried, the Prosecutor is definitely my favorite weapon from Trials of the Nine, and it's become my favorite auto rifle in this game. Previously, Uriel's Gift was my favorite auto rifle in this game, and it's very similar to Uriel's Gift with a few slight differences. Of course, the perks are kind of different because it's a different weapon, but as far as the base stats go, basically you're gaining stability and reload speed at the cost of slight handling and a bit of range. But if you remember from my Uriel's Gift video, I said that it had extreme range, but that didn't really matter too much because you're really only going to be using it at medium to long range fights. You're not going to be using it at super long range because you're going to get beat out by a Mida in that situation. And since the Mida is a very popular weapon in Destiny 2's PvP, I generally play around it. So I don't take long range fights with my Uriels at all. So with the Prosecutor, you're gaining some stability and some reload speed at the cost of that range, which I already wasn't taking advantage of really, and I think the perks on the Prosecutor are actually better than the Uriels. So let's get into the Prosecutor's perks, because like I said, it's very similar to the Uriels. For a quick recap of the Uriels, it's just basically a very low recoil, very accurate rifle that you can go for precision shots with. If you have good aim, you can aim for the head constantly and just melt people actually pretty quickly. I don't think it's as good as the Mida, but if you want something else to play around with, I think that the Uriel's Gift, the Prosecutor, the Number, they're all very similar weapons. They all do the same thing pretty much, and that is that they allow you to go for only headshots because they have such low recoil. So the Prosecutor is in the same boat, it just has slightly different perks than the Uriels. The first perk for the Prosecutor is Precision Frame. This weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical. That's great. It already has low recoil, but the fact that its only recoil is really vertical makes it even easier to control. Generally with recoil, if it's vertical, meaning just up and down, you can pull your stick down to account for it. But if it's side to side, it's harder to account for. Like if it goes up and to the right or up and to the left, it's harder to pull your stick down diagonally while staying on target rather than just pulling it down while also staying on target. So Precision Frame makes the recoil easier to control, and that's nice. For our second perk, we have the hipfire grip, the ergonomic grip that increases accuracy and stability when firing from the hip. I initially didn't think this would be something that I would take advantage of, but in close range fights, to like maybe a slight medium, but really for close range fights where you're kind of meleeing people, like that type of range, you're generally going to be hipfiring as you close the gap to melee anyway. So this just makes your hipfire more accurate, and then if you can melee and still hipfire, it just makes your hipfire better, and it's probably something that you're probably going to take into account sometimes anyways. Uriel's hipfire isn't that great, but you can get away with it. This actually has very good hipfire, and you can definitely get away with it in situations where hipfire is needed. You could hipfire people across the map with how accurate this is, but at that range you're going to be better off aiming in and going for headshots. But in close range fights, you're not going to want to aim in because that's going to slow down how much you can strafe and such. So in close range, just hipfire, strafe around, be a hard target hit while also being quite on target, because of how accurate the hipfire for this gun is, it's a great perk for Destiny 2's PvP. In the perk slot where you can pick between, you have the Slideways perk. Sliding partially reloads this weapon's magazine and temporarily boosts handling and stability. That's good, but we'll get to that in a moment. And then it also has Tap the Trigger. Grants a short period of increased stability and accuracy on initial trigger pull. That's the same perk that Uriel's has. But I think Uriel's is in the slot of the hipfire thing, so you're able to get the same perk that Uriel's has plus the hipfire, or you can do for the slide thing. So Tap the Trigger just basically makes it to where your initial accuracy is going to be very high, so you can burst it at range and be very accurate, or just in the probably most fights you're going to end before the recoil actually matters with how Tap the Trigger works if it's in like medium range. So this is definitely a very good perk for an auto rifle, and I've been experimenting with this and Slideways, but I think Tap the Trigger is pretty self-explanatory. It just adds up to even less recoil, and it makes it very viable for bursting at range. For Slideways, sliding partially reloads this weapon's magazine and temporarily boosts handling and stability. I'm not really going to use it for that temporary boost of handling and stability. Like, sure, that's nice, and the handling is how fast you aim down sights, so it's going to be nice if you like slide around a corner and then have to aim in a fight. That can help you a bit. But the main reason I would use this is partially reloading the magazine. This weapon's magazine is 32 bullets, and sliding will reload 5 in this instance, and I'm not going to do this to completely get around reloads, but in those instances where like maybe you have to reload and someone's trying to get away, you could just slide after him and then get 5 more bullets in your mag and then finish the fight that way. Or if like a fight's getting heated and you have to dip for cover for a second, you could slide into the cover and then have 5 bullets in the mag. There are several times, especially when an opponent is weak, where 5 bullets is more than enough, especially if it's been a long drawn out fight and he has to reload. You can just slide and get some bullets and finish him while he's either reloading or swapping weapons and trying to get away. So that's mainly how I've been using the Slideways perk, and I've liked it quite a bit with this weapon actually. I initially didn't think it would be something I would really take advantage of, but just in those instances that I just outlined where you have to finish somebody off and you only need 1 or 2 bullets anyways, this is a great perk for that. And in PvP, that situation can happen quite a bit, especially if it's a one-on-one. There, the time to kill in this game is kind of low, meaning you have a lot of time to like react. I guess it's a high time to kill. I always mix that up. But basically, it takes a while to kill somebody if it's just a flat-out 1v1 at times. So you might actually go through all of your bullets, especially if there's like they have a good strafe or they're using cover well. And being able to slide and get bullets back is a great perk. So basically, that's why I prefer this over Uriel's. The slideways perk and the hipfire perk, because the base gun already feels like Uriel's, and they do the same thing. They're like very similar. You probably wouldn't notice, like, if they looked exactly the same, you probably wouldn't be able to tell which is which because of how similar they are. So basically, it's just the Uriel's that you can get the slideways perk for, and you can also get better hipfire. So I don't see why you would use the Uriel's over this, unless you just really like the Uriel's for some reason. I also think this weapon's sight is better than Uriel's, but that's purely subjective. So another reason why this gun is good is because you can guarantee that you'll get it. If you get 7 wins in trials, you get to choose a weapon. And if you really want this weapon, you could just pick it right then and there. If you didn't get it from your previous rewards, the way rewards work in trials is if you get a reward at 3 wins and a reward at 5 wins, and then a reward at 7 wins. In the 7 reward wins, you get to pick the weapon you get. And then also you get some tokens that you can use to level up the vendor. But that's obviously just random. But you can guarantee you'll get this weapon. I don't think you can guarantee that you'll get Uriel's in some way. I believe the Nessus vendor gives it, so you could grind Nessus for tokens and try to get it that way. But this is a weapon that if you really want, and it's a similar archetype to Uriel's, so that's why I'm saying if you really want Uriel's, just go for this one, get 7 wins in trials, and you can guarantee you'll have this. Whereas Uriel's, you might be leveling up that Nessus vendor all day until you get lucky and hopefully get it. So that's going to be it for this video. Just wanted to briefly share with you what my favorite trials weapon was and why you could use the Prosecutor to replace the Uriel's if you are not having a good time getting the Uriel's, because I think this is just Uriel's with slight upgrades. Like I said, the sliding perk and the hipfire aren't amazing, but it is a nice upgrade to a gun that I already said I like just as much as the Uriel's. So this one just has little extra benefits that I'm not always going to be taking advantage of, but it's nice when I do take advantage of. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful in any way.